Hello and welcome to my review of the Perfect Paradox. This is a legendary shotgun which was added in with Curse of Cyrus back in December, I believe. To get this, you basically have to forge all of the weapons from the Infinite Forge, and you do this, if you don't know, by getting all the prophecy tablets from Brother Vance. You can do 3 per week, I think, and there's like 9 or 10 in total, so it should take you about 3 or 4 weeks if you're doing like all of them. Like if you're doing as many as you can per week, you should get them done in like 3 or 4 weeks, I believe. But you'll have to do 2 missions, which I shall have short clips on screen, I guess, of where the first mission makes you go into the Infinite Forge to find like a source of a signal. You'll then find like a well of light, and then you have to go back out of the Infinite Forge to complete the mission. You'll then have to satisfy the criteria of one last prophecy tablet. Then you get another mission to go back in. You find scene 14 basically. You get broken pieces of the Perfect Paradox, and then you have to reforge it in the Infinite Forge, and you get the shotgun. So that's basically how you get the shotgun. I'll get into the lore in a few minutes after I go over the perks, but then after that I'll go over the public events, strikes, and Crucible. Not all of them, and not all like the public events and strikes, but a good few to get like an idea of how the weapon is. So this gun has 4 perks. There's no perk which is really incredible, like an exotic weapon, obviously, because this is a legendary weapon. But the first perk is Rapid Fire Frame. What this does, it allows the weapon to fire at full auto, so you just hold down your trigger and it'll shoot the full mag. And it also has deeper ammo reserves, and it also reloads faster when the mag is empty. What this means is you'll be able to hold down the trigger and it will fire all 7 shots in quick succession. It fires at 100 RPM, so it fires pretty quickly, and if you just hold down the trigger, it'll shoot all 7 shots in a row. It also reloads faster when the mag is empty, so if you drain the entire 7 shots, it'll reload a bit faster. And it also has 14 shots instead of 11 compared to Hawthorne's shotgun. This gun is heavily compared to, and it has a lot of similarities to, Hawthorne's Field Forged shotgun, which is generally regarded as like one of the best legendary shotguns, I think. So it is very similar to that weapon. If anything, it's just a straight upgrade from that weapon. So once you get this, there's no real reason to use Hawthorne's shotgun, but both of them are like incredible shotguns to use. The other noteworthy perk is Rampage, and if you don't know what Rampage is, it basically allows you to do more damage, and it increases 3 times, and it increases every time you get a kill. So if you get 1 kill, it'll give you Rampage times 1, which is slightly increased damage. If you get another kill, Rampage times 2, which yet again does slightly increased damage, and then Rampage times 3 does a wee bit more damage than Rampage times 2. And it caps out at Rampage times 3. I believe you keep killing enemies after Rampage times 3, it just extends the duration. I'm not too sure about that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it does. And that's really the only 2 noteworthy perks that are kind of like set in stone. The other 2 perks you can choose from 3 perks for each one. So there are recommended ones according to Dim, which I will outline, but I'll go for all of them anyway. So for the first perk slot, you can have Full Choke, Rifle Barrel, or Smooth Bore. Full Choke reduces the spread when ADSing, but at the cost of damage. So you will have, your shotgun will be more accurate, but you will have less damage, which I don't think that one's too good, but if you really want to be really accurate with your shotgun, I guess you can use that one. Rifle Barrel, which is the recommended one according to Dim, has increased range and also greatly decreases the handling speed. So you will be able to do more damage from further away, however it doesn't ADS as quickly, I believe is what that means. And then Smooth Bore is the last one, which greatly increases the range of the weapon at the cost of a wider spread. So your gun will be less accurate, but it will have greatly increased range. I don't think this one's too good. It's probably better than Full Choke, but a shotgun doesn't really need to have that much range because it is a shotgun and it should be used up close. So I'm not really sure if that one's all that useful, but at the same time, do what you want. I think Rifle Barrel as the recommended one makes the most sense because increased range but decreased ADS speed makes sense because you don't really need ADS with the shotgun, but increased range is nice. So I think that's will be the best perk there. For perk 2, you can have Flared Magwell, Steady Rounds, or Accurized Rounds. Flared Magwell is optimized for fast reloading, which means that it has slightly increased stability and greatly increased reload speed. This is pretty good because it means you have less recoil, and it also means that you have a faster reload. Steady Rounds, which is the recommended one, says that the weapon is optimized for recoil control, so it has greatly increased stability but slightly decreases the range, so there's a lot more control of the weapon, so less recoil, but it has slightly decreased range. So if you have Rifle Barrel and Steady Rounds, they kind of cancel each other out with the range and you just get really good damage control, or you get really good recoil control essentially, with decreased ADS speed. And if you use Accurized Rounds, the weapon can fire longer distances, so it has increased range. The one people seem to use the most, according to Dim, is Steady Rounds. However, I feel as though Flared Magwell might be the best, because it does have slightly decreased recoil, but it also has greatly increased reload speed. If you're not the likes of a hunter or someone who can just instantly refill your mag by dodging or whatever, then flared mag will might be the best for you because you can reload pretty quickly then. But the two recommended ones, according to them, are rifle barrel and steady arms. So yeah. As for lore and aesthetics, the gun itself looks pretty nice, I think. I prefer Hawthorne's shotgun because it looks more like an actual shotgun. The Perfect Paradox kind of just looks like a barrel, to be honest, like kind of like a cannon barrel type thing. It is really smooth and it looks really slick, I guess, but it also doesn't look that much like a shotgun in my opinion. So I think I do prefer the way Hawthorne's looks, but it is a cool weapon. The lore to it's pretty cool as well because it is called the Perfect Paradox, which the gun itself is the paradox that the name is talking about, the name's referencing. So basically, in very simplified terms, and from what I understand to be the lore of the weapon was used by Scene 14 when you went into the Infinite Forest to find Osiris, but then he's there for literally like many years. I don't know how long, but it could be centuries for all we know. And he fights off hordes of Vex. Essentially, we find piles of Vex whenever we find him in Infinite Forest dead. We pick up a shotgun, we then reforge it so we get the weapon back, and then it is said that he gets the weapon from us and that we are his inspiration. So it seems as though we get the weapon from his dead body essentially. We reforge the weapon because it was broken, and then we give it to him later down the line in our timeline, but earlier for him because obviously he's dead. So we seem to give it to him before he goes into the Infinite Forest, so like before a great battle or something. But so that either means that we time travel into the past or he time travels into the future. One of the two. Basically it means that someone time travels at some stage in the future. It just depends who it is. But that's why it's called the Perfect Paradox, because the weapon has no start or end, it is just there. It's caught in an infinite loop. It doesn't have a beginning, it doesn't have an end, because obviously we reforge the weapon. We don't actually make the weapon, we don't create it. We make it from its damaged, destroyed shell. Essentially we take parts of it that were already there from Scene 14 and we reforge the weapon. So the weapon basically gets reforged by us, we give it to Scene 14 sometime or down the line. It then gets used by him, it gets destroyed eventually whenever he dies, and then we reforge it and just keeps getting stuck in the loop. That's why it's called the Perfect Paradox. I'm sure there's more to it, but you can probably look up other videos. I'm more so focusing on the actual gun itself and how it performs in game, not the lore behind it in the story, but I'm sure you can look up videos on it. I did 5 public events, being the Warsat, Hive Ritual, Injection Rig, Walker Tank, and the Cabal Mining Expedition. The Mining Expedition I'm not even going to include because the boss got nuked in that one, so I didn't have any time to use the shotgun on the boss, but I would imagine it does do a lot of damage if the other public events and my other experience with it is the sandbag, or is the pull up. For the Warsat public event, it destroys the witches in 2 to 3 shots, and this is really quick actually because I think you get 1 power brick ammo from each witch, which gives you 4 shots per brick, and it takes 2 to 3 to destroy the witches, so you're making a net profit there, which is pretty nice. But basically it destroys the witches in 2 to 3 shots, it destroys the shriekers in about 7 shots. I mean, I wasn't being that accurate, but if you're accurate enough I'm sure it can be a lot less than that. But it took 7 shots for me, and it doesn't really do anything to the ogre, but I think that's because it's intended that you use the Valkyrie for the ogres in that public event, because it destroys everything, that shotgun, like it destroys everything apart from that ogre, so I would say that's probably a fluke. For the Hive Ritual, it yet again melts the witches, and on the Titan version of this public event, not the Mars version, it destroys the Night Boss as well, like it obliterates him. So I'm not too sure what it does against the ogre. I don't know if it's similar to the Warsat event where it doesn't do anything, but it destroys the Knights and the witches basically if you're doing the Titan version. For the Injection Rig, it melts the Scions, but it takes 7 shots per event at least. So from my experience it took 7 shots if you're hitting all 7 shots. I'm sure you could probably like shoot a couple enemies, get your rampage up to 2 or 3, and then shoot the events and it'll probably take a couple less shots. But for me it took 7 shots with no rampage, so keep that in mind. I feel like you're probably better off using the Sleeper similar to the Warcliffe Coil, but if you're using an exotic weapon or something as your primary or secondary, then the shotgun works pretty well anyway, so you don't really have to worry about that, and you don't have to worry about ammo either, because the Scions give you a power brick, and the orange bar enemies do as well, like the, whatever they are, the dual wielding sword cabal things, so you're probably fine in the ammo department. You get 21 shots anyway, so it's not too bad. And finally, for the Walker Tank event, I think this is where it performs the best, because it takes 7 shots to get a Walker down if you're shooting the legs, and it does it really quick because the gun does shoot at 100 RPM, so it shoots pretty fast for a shotgun, and it also does a lot of damage, so it gets the Walker down in 7 shots. You can then deposit the orbs, reload, shoot the Walker again, like a couple, I think it's a few less times because it takes less shots the second time round, but then obviously you can put the orbs in, they can just use the cannons from then on. So it works really well. It does do quite a bit of damage to the actual Walker itself as well, but you're probably better off just using the launchers after that, the cannons. So yeah, but for all the public events and for literally every enemy in the game, it literally destroys all of them apart from ogres. And that's yellow bar ogre specifically, it does destroy red bars as well. It's pretty good, but yeah, that's that for public events. I used the weapon for 2 strikes because the modifier yesterday was glass and I only got the gun yesterday. Basically, in Mercury, for the one where you have to destroy the root mind, it eradicates everything, even the yellow bar minotaurs, which spawn like twice I think. It destroys them as well, it takes a full mic to destroy them. And that's pretty good considering the fact that they do have quite a bit of health, so it's pretty useful in that regard. And it basically just obliterates everything, it erases everything from existence in a couple of shots, and it takes full mag for the minotaurs. But the yellow bar versions just absorb 7 shots and just immediately die, so it does do quite a bit of damage compared to like other shotguns or compared to like other special weapons. It does do quite a bit of damage to them. I didn't get to use it on the root mind itself, the actual boss, because I didn't want to risk it. The modifier was a glass and I didn't want to run up to the root mind and start shooting it in the face because I probably would have died, but I imagine it probably does a decent amount of damage. I'm not really sure. You can probably try it yourself if you want. I then did the Pyramidion strike in Io, and that's the one of the Genesis mind. It melts, like I said, everything up to the boss, and for the boss it actually melts it as well if you shoot it in all its phases. I believe, I mean, there was 2 other enemies, or there was 2 other teammates that I had which are doing a lot of damage to the boss as well, but for that one strike we actually got all of the damage done to the Genesis mind in the first phase, and it literally teleported immediately after the second phase, so we basically got all of its damage phases done in the first like minute. So it was pretty useful, and it was pretty good. So overall, like, the shotgun melts everything. From bosses to, like, just other enemies, it destroys everything. And the only thing it doesn't destroy are, yet again, yellow bar ogres. So, and I'm sure a couple strike bosses probably stand quite a bit of chance against it, but no, it works really well. So I'm actually really happy with the gun, and it is pretty much a straight upgrade from Hawthorne's shotgun. Enough of an upgrade in my opinion to actually go through the process of getting all the prophecy weapons. I didn't get to use it too much in Crucible because you have to use heavy ammo from the wall, and there was people just going for heavy ammo all the time. So I got to use it a couple times. It seems to take 3 or 4 shots to kill an enemy with it, and I don't think that's really worth it. You're probably better off with like a launcher or something, but each to their own I guess. On Dim, people were saying in the reviews that it was actually really good for Crucible. Maybe I was just using it wrong or something, but personally I didn't think it was too good, and yeah. I'm sure maybe if you stay alive long enough and you get 2 power bricks, then you'll have 8 shots and you'll be able to just like destroy an entire team, I guess. But I'm sure some people will use it really effectively, but I'm not that good at Crucible, so I'm not really probably the best person to ask. But basically, I didn't think it was too special in Crucible, but Dim said otherwise, so take that as you will. In conclusion, I would just say that this weapon is actually really good. It is essentially a straight upgrade from Hawthorne's shotgun. It has a lot of similarities in that they both shoot at a similar speed, they both do similar amounts of damage, they're both full auto. The only difference is that, whilst both of them have the same amount of ammo in a mag, both 7 shots, the Perfect Paradox shoots 10 RPM faster than the Hawthorne shotgun, so 100 versus 90. It also has 3 extra shots in reserves, 14 versus 11, which gives you a total of 21 in Perfect Paradox compared to 18 in Hawthorne's shotgun. And I would personally say, and obviously you've got Rampage in this shotgun as well, and I would personally say that this is the best shotgun in the game, aside from the raid shotgun, which I think is Legend of Acurus. I don't have that shotgun because I don't do raids, because I don't have any friends to do raids with. I would say Legend of Acurus, which is an exotic shotgun, and the Escalation Protocol shotgun are most likely better than it. However, aside from those 2, I'd say it's probably the 3rd best weapon in the game, or the 3rd best shotgun in the game, including those 2 I guess. So it's a really good shotgun. In conclusion, it is basically as a base upgrade to the Hawthorne shotgun, but it is a very worthy upgrade, and I think it is very worthwhile going through the quest to get it. And I don't know how it's going to work, because it is kind of led up via the lore to be like, it's built up to be this perfect paradox weapon thing is meant to be like crucial to the lore, so I don't know if we're going to use it in this game or the next game. If we have to like give it the same routine in this game, then we're going to lose it eventually. And you know what happens to the people who redeemed the weapon, or you know, who dismantled the weapon. So they're kind of screwed there, because I don't know if you can get it from Brother Vance then. If you do redeem it, if you do dismantle it, so I'm not sure how that works. To be honest, it will be the next game because I can't see them doing it in this game, but we'll see how it goes. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider leaving a like, maybe even subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.